Well, so much has changed in the music business since you guys started, and now there's less record companies and less opportunities, but then again, more independent opportunities for people to get their music heard initially. What advice would you give to that young artist today who is tempted to just go look for a record deal, but really needs to hone their craft and find an audience and really develop their own voice? How would you advise them?
I think in the old days when we were coming up, what would happen is, you know, the record companies, and by record companies I mean really the major labels, they all had huge staffs of people to do things like your artwork, you know, put your videos together for you, do your marketing, do your graphic design of your album covers and all that kind of stuff. Even at major record companies, a lot of those services don't exist anymore. So I always tell young artists that if there's an expectation that you're going to walk in somewhere and you're going to sing, and then somebody's going to go, wow, you're great, we're going to polish you up and we're going to put you in vocal training and we're going to do this, those days are over. Right now what happens is, you know, in the old days a record company could take you from 1 to 10. You could walk in with just a little talent, or not a little talent, but, you know, talent that was tangible, and somebody would groom you and take you to the 10. Now you better walk into a record company at least a 5 out of 10, and by that I mean you better have your video together, you better have your website together, you better have, you know, any sort of outside partnership deals, whether it's merchandise or you know, what have you. You need to know really what your marketing is. Who is your audience? Who are you? You know, have your Facebook and your Twitter account and all those things. Have that all set up. And once the record company has those tools that you're helping to provide to them, they can certainly help take you from 5 to 10, but no longer from 1 to 10. So a lot of it is the preparation. You know, people used to always say, I'm waiting for my record deal. And I always say, substitute the word waiting for preparing. I'm preparing for my record deal. The more prepared you are, the more you have, the better it is. And you have the opportunity to do it on your own. You don't have to go with a major label or a major distributor. You can do it on your own. But if you do decide that that's the route you want to go, it still helps to have gathered all of those tools on your own to help them, you know, at the end of the day, partner with them. They're supposed to be your partners, and they're going to help you get your record really around the world or into stores that you normally wouldn't be able to get into, or so on and so forth. So that's what it is. It's just, you know, recognizing what your piece of the partnership is. The more you do, the better prepared you are, the more success you're going to have. That's
great. And what, over your years of all the trial and error and working on so many different projects, how do you break down, what are the elements of a classic song? I mean, you know, obviously it's hard to define, no one can ever predict, but when you've seen so many of them come and go, what are those elements that make a hit?
I think it's, you know, songs have to connect in some way. It can be a lot of different things. It can be a beat that's very catchy. It could be the way something sounds sonically that catches your ear. I've always been a big fan of melody. I think melody is something you can sing along with, is great. Terry, my partner, is a great lyricist. Catchy lyrics. I mean, there's only so many things you can talk about. Speaking of talk about, I don't recognize that number. They're going to have to leave a message. And actually, I'm going to put this on stun here. Anyway, I think melody is always very important. Lyrics are really important. You know, it's interesting. Subject matter tends to be the same. A lot of it deals with love because that seems to be something that we all can relate to. But sometimes there's a different way of saying something where you think, wow, I never thought of hearing it like that before. And you definitely want a song to become part of someone's, you know, soundtrack to their life. If you are fortunate enough to be, you know, in a position to write a song that could be a great, wedding song or a great graduation song or a song that in bad times helps uplift somebody or whatever. I mean, all of those things are great. It's tough to call what an actual hit song is, mm-hmm. but I think a good quality song has all of those relatable, elements, great melody, great, lyrics, should have a catchy beat, sonically should sound, good. We try at it all the time, and listen, I guess we're like baseball players. We might hit about 3 out of 10, maybe. But that's a good level of success. And the key is, if you're a songwriter, is write all the time. The more you do it, it's like any muscle in your body. Your creative muscles, you have to use them, or else you kind of are squandering the gifts. If you have those gifts for songwriting, then don't squander those. Just continue to write. Even if people tell you, well, I don't like that, whatever, you can write 100 songs and they're not right, but that 101st song might be the one. So you gotta stay with it.
Great. And how about for a vocalist? I mean, so many vocalists come up singing other people's music, mm-hmm. but what's your advice to have them really find their own style, their own sound?
Finding your own sound is tough, because a lot of people nowadays are great imitators. They will imitate mm-hmm. whatever's out there. It's tough. We have a group right now we're working with. It's a younger group, super talented, but their identity is really based on singing other people's songs. So our challenge as producers for them is to figure out who they are and what their songs should sound like. So it's not. I mean, that's a problem that everybody has, including us. I don't think there's anything wrong with knowing who your influences are, and particularly if they're someone who's successful. I mean, we all emulate success. We all like to, what they say, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. So I think that's fine to do that, but I do think that a lot of times it's in the combination of influences. I know in our band, for instance, Jesse Johnson, who's like one of the greatest guitar players ever to me. When he talks about his influence, he talks everybody from Robert Johnson, great blues player, to Jimi Hendrix, who's legendary, to a guy named Freddie Stone, who's the brother of Sly. But played rhythm guitar in Sly and the Family Stone. And his style is very unique, but it's really a combination of a whole lot of different styles that then he has put together to make his own style. So sometimes it's as simple as taking different elements of people that you like vocally, and that kind of creates your style. If you're a songwriter, it also helps, because if you're a songwriter, then you can write your own songs, which then also kind of dictate then what your vocal styling is. But no, there's nothing truly original. It's like every new thing that you hear, you can pretty much trace back to certain elements. You can say, well, I know they listen to a lot of Motown, or they must have really liked Janis Joplin growing up, or they must have really liked Jay-Z because their rap style is like that, or so on and so forth. But there's nothing wrong with that. You try to make it unique, and I think you can succeed in doing that.